thank you all for joining us. The festival takes place both online and in-person screenings at the Jerusalem Cinematheque, and also in shelters for women who survive domestic violence. We are deeply honored to host the president of the European Film Academy, acclaimed director Agnieszka Holland, for tonight's masterclass. We are grateful for your time, Madam Holland. And our deepest thanks goes also to our partners in this special event who joined forces to make all of this possible. To open, I would now like to invite Katarzyna Dzierżawska, Director of Polish Institute, Tel Aviv.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, dear viewers, dear friends of Polish Institute, dear ladies. It is my great privilege as an acting director of the Polish Institute in Tel Aviv to open today's virtual masterclass with a special guest, Mrs. Agnieszka Holland. I would like to express my gratitude to Women's Film Festival in Jerusalem, especially to Liora Shulman, Lihi Sabak, Shira Meishar, and Benjamin Freidenberg from the Jerusalem Filmmakers Guild for, first of all, approaching us with the idea of the masterclass. Adam Mickiewicz Institute from Warsaw, especially Dorota Kwinta and Kamila Kowalska, our irreplaceable Polish partner in Israeli projects. Yasmin Harel of Polish Institute, for her extraordinary dedication for the project, and of course to Mrs. Agnieszka Holland. It is a great honor to host you, Madam, and thank you very much for joining us tonight. Tonight's event is organized in the framework of the Polish Zoom project, which besides presenting Polish movies, also includes encounters with outstanding representatives of Polish cinema. We have hosted Filip Bajon, we have hosted Alan Starski, as well as Agnieszka Smoczyńska. And tonight, we have a great honor to welcome one of the best known female directors, the renowned Agnieszka Holland. I think we all know Mrs. Agnieszka Holland films. We recognize her style, her film language and aesthetics. When we watch Mrs. Holland's films, we can expect the best acting, the best production design, and of course, the very best directing. But I think there is much more to it all. I think we are all being exposed to universal questions about dignity, freedom, identity, human condition in general. Mrs. Holland is a master in creating the characters, strong, powerful individuals, characters that will remain in our memories. With Mrs. Holland films, we make a journey, and not only throughout the history, but I think also through the protagonist's choices and moral consequences of their decisions. And I found in one of the interviews, Mrs. Holland mentioned that she said that her duty as a film director is this internal moral duty to choose the right story. So my personal question to Mrs. Holland is, how do you choose this one particular script out of numerous offers that you are being offered? I presume on every day, on daily basis. What makes this one particular script catch your attention? I will not take more of the precious time with the director. Once again, Mrs. Holland, it is a true privilege to host you tonight. We are so proud that one of the best directors in the world and current president of the European Film Academy is a woman, and is a Polish woman. So enjoy the masterclass, squeeze out of the essence of it, and maybe implement it in your films, even lives. I will. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Katarzyna, for your support. I would now like to invite Deputy Director of Adam Mickiewicz Institute, Barbara Sheshka.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Benjamin. I'm extremely happy that the Adam Mickiewicz Institute already for the first time is the partner of the Polish Zoom project. And of course, my greatest thanks go to Ms. Katarzyna Dzierżawska and the whole team at the Polish Institute in Tel Aviv. Polish Zoom presents the most interesting young Polish creators and production, film classics, as well as greatest masters of Polish cinema. These include, of course, Ms. Agnieszka Holland, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank you, Ms. Agnieszka Holland, for joining us, for accepting the invitation from the festival, and both from the Polish Institute in Tel Aviv and the Adam Mickiewicz Institute to be part in this in tonight's masterclass. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank to the Jerusalem Women's Film Festival, the whole team, Ms. Liora Schulman, for the initiative of organizing this masterclass and screening of the superb film Aktorzy Prowincjonalni. I wish for the masterclass to provide the Israeli audience with many unforgettable artistic impressions. And I would also like to invite you for the autumn edition of the Polish Zoom, with my big hope that this will be able to happen in reality in cinemas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara. The festival and Jerusalem Filmmakers Guild are delighted for the collaboration with the Israeli Academy of Film and Television. To say a few words on behalf of its board members, Karin Kainer.
Hi. These are strange times indeed. I'm very excited and thankful for this important collaboration and opportunity between the Israeli Film and Television Academy and our dear partners from the Polish Institute and Adam Mickiewicz Institute in Warsaw in this unique and important masterclass with Madam Holland. The Academy has for many years is representing Israeli cinema and its filmmakers, creators, a cinema that is mostly perceived as critical political cinema by the Israeli establishment, and we are proud of that. In these days that are characterized by daily uncertainty, we find ourselves fighting even more for our artistic existence, and precisely from the work of Madam Holland that deals extensively, how you say it, Katerina, with identity and dilemma of moral issues, I feel even stronger how important our place as filmmakers is to continue to dare to say ours and fight for our art. In short, I hope I'm not mistaken how I'm saying it. To jest dla mnie wielki honor. Madam Holland.
Thank you, very good.
I worked on it.
Thank you, Karin.
Thank you. Thank you.
Of course, the time we have will not suffice to cover the many aspects of Madam Holland's prolific career in film, television, documentaries, and fiction, as well as consistent activism within the film industry and beyond it, being a meaningful voice for social justice. To moderate the masterclass, we are glad to have with us Head of Production and Directors Program of the Steve Tisch School of Film and Television at Tel Aviv University, film director Maya Dreyfus.
It's a great honor to have you here, Madam Holland, and I would like to go back where it all started in Poland of the 70s.
Hi, hello everybody, and thank you for such a warm and welcoming speeches. I will remember the questions Katarzyna asked me, and in some point I will try to answer. It happened before, it means it happened when I was 15, and I decided, after thinking who I really am and asking myself what can express all my creative and personal needs, I decided that the profession or vocation which fits the best my character and my skills and my needs is to be a film director. So I was analyzing it, and I came to the conclusion that I need to express myself visually, because before I wanted to be a painter, I was drawing and painting, and I thought that it will be maybe my future. But then I understood that I need also to tell the stories, and the storytelling was also something which was very natural to me, and I invented stories and told the stories from very early age. And the third thing is that I need to have the power. It means I have to tell to people what
to do.
What to do, yes, exactly. And when I put those three things together, I say that is a film director. And it was mid-60s, and the cinema, European cinema, Asian cinema, American cinema, was extremely vital and innovative. And I was thinking that that is the modern and most relevant art. So it will be great to work on this field. Then I decided to go to the film school, because it wasn't another way to dream about making movies, and at least in communist countries, than to go to the film school. And I decided to go for many reasons, which I will not elaborate now because it's too specific and too complicated. But I decided to go to Prague, to Czechoslovakia, to famous film school FAMU. And one of the reasons was also because the Czech cinema was extremely vital and new, and the Czech New Wave is probably, to me, till now, one of the most robust and original movement of European cinema of 20th century. And till now you can watch those movies and they are fresh, like newborn. So I went to Prague. In Prague, that was a very good decision, I think, because a lot of things happened in Czechoslovakia in those years when I was studying there. And that was really the years of formation and initiation to many subjects and to many knowledges and to many experiences. So it was my, filmmaking, artistic, erotic, but also political and social formative experience. And when I look back, who I am today and who I was during my creative life, it has a lot to do with those 5 years in Prague. And then I came, but I had also some political troubles there. I was arrested. I had after the political trial. So when I came back to Poland, which was communist Poland as well as Czechoslovakia was communist, but in the beginning of 70s, it was the time of certain liberalization. And it reflected in the possibility of the freedom of cinema as well. But I had a lot of problems still because of my father, who is a Jewish communist who became dissident communist, and after he was arrested and died, committed suicide during the investigation. And his name was well known by the Polish authorities and hated. And I had my own prison experience, so I was a bit persona non grata, very young persona non grata. When I came back, I was 24, 23, 24.
24 after all this, okay.
And if I was able to start my movie making in Poland, it was because of the solidarity and support of my colleagues and then friends, Andrzej Wajda in the first place, Krzysztof Zanussi and Krzysztof Kieślowski, who became my closest friend altogether in this time. And they've been really fighting for me. So I really owe them my beginnings, and without those beginnings, it would be not the rest.
was it intimidating for you, your first steps in this industry with full of, you say it was also, they were helping you, but you were also very young.
Well, no, I was a mix, as we always quite often are. It means I was shy on one hand, on another hand I was, quite pretentious. And my first job was to be an assistant of Krzysztof Zanussi at the movie Illumination. I was so critical, it means I was watching him working, and I was thinking, oh no, I would do it better. It's so, and I shown it somehow, so the fact that he didn't fire me, it's beyond my understanding. Because if one assistant will behave like me on my set, I would certainly fire him.
So you had no fear. The fact that you were a woman did not make any change of didn't feel inferiority or something, because you were fearless.
I think that one of things it was that I was fearless. Second thing was that I was equipped by my family, in very, I think, strong way. It means my mother, my father also, but my mother in the first place trusted me and my skills and my capacity to do whatever I want to do. So it is, I think, very important that your parents believe in you, especially if you are a girl. I never felt that I am a girl. I felt that I am quite exceptional human being and I can do whatever I want to do. And so that certainly that was just this blast and this kick up. And I realized the glass ceiling women are experiencing in the filmmaking world only when I left Poland, actually. And I think it was because I was so close with my male colleagues, and we've been doing things together, and we've been fighting together with the censorship and with the with the communist oppression. That enemy was there. We had common enemy, and I didn't ask myself the question how it happened, how so that I'm practically only woman on my generation who is making any movies and who is visible. It was one more, a bit older than I am, but she never had such a opportunity to do so much as I did. So, I realized that, yeah, what some women have been talking, it's true. It is twice or maybe 3 times as difficult for the woman to make the movies, to stay in the filmmaking community, in the industry, and to have the career. It means not to end her career after one failure or after one movie and second child.
I want you talk about your father, and you are very open about his life story. How did that influence on of the story you choose and the story you're telling on-screen films?
I think that it certainly influenced me. Also, his origins, also the fact that he was a young Jewish communist before the Second War, and that he was a strong believer that that the radiant future can come only from the East and from the communism, which was quite understandable. He was a brilliant boy. I had a lot of recollection of his friends, how intelligent he was and how opinionated he was and how active he was. But he took as an oppression the wave of the anti-Semitism, which was growing in Europe and also in Poland. It was very strong, and then he was admitted to the medical school, which was very difficult for a Jewish boy because it was a numerus clausus for Jews to become the doctor, and so on and so on. So from this point of view, his choices been understandable to me, even if me as a grown-up person didn't share the communist beliefs, and I was watching Stalinian and communist countries as a source of incredible murders and oppression. So I try after reconstruct his life, which wasn't so easy because he was he was 41 when he died. I was 13. So the time when we've been together, I was able to talk was quite limited, and he never wanted to talk about his life in Soviet Russia, in the army, his life in pre-war Poland, his family. I even didn't know what were the names of his parents. I discovered it only when my aunt, only survivor of this family, put them symbolically on the grave of my father. And till now, I'm not sure even if they've been real names or the Polonized names. So I didn't hear any childhood memories from him, any stories of my grandparents, and no stories of the Holocaust neither. He didn't experience the Holocaust, but he came with the Polish army to Warsaw without knowing what really happened. They didn't know it in Soviet Union. And he expected to meet his family and to see his native town, Warsaw, and he discovered the ruins, the totally destroyed city, and no one alive. They all died in the ghettos and concentration camps. So somehow, you know, the heritage of this experience of my father was paradoxically passed to me by my mother, who is Gentile, who is not Jewish, but who was very affected by the fact that as a teenager she was witnessing the Holocaust, and she also saved some Jews during the war, and has the tree in Jerusalem and the title of Writers Among the Nations. So they are my roots, and of course it influenced me and my field of the interest. But this double identity, or after triple identity, because I became very fond of Czech and Slovak culture, and then I emigrated to France, and then I started to live in United States, and you know, suddenly I became European and then the citizen of the world. So I think it was possible because I've seen how identity questions are important on one side, but are dangerous on the other side.
Yes, your films deal with the tension between individuals and society constraints, and also observing human nature and its morality. And I wanted to know, do you think cinema as a platform has the power to change the world?
Sometimes only. I think in general, cinema is not its role. The cinema for most of the people is the source of the entertaining. And very few films has this kind of the courage or lack that they can touch in the right moment, you know, the underconscious of the people, and anticipate something which is important, which is in the future. We don't see it yet, but those films like feel it somehow, and the people understand suddenly something more than before watching this particular film.
Do you think this option to change people's heart is one reason of how you choose project?
That is the ambition, the aim I have, but in the same time, I'm more modest, you know. I don't think that with all my film I will change the world. I can have the aspiration to maybe touch at least few viewers saw, you know, and to create some curiosity, to ask the questions I'm asking myself, and to have the empathy for the complicated characters and complicated experiences I try to show. And I'm, you know, sometimes it means in the first part of my work when I was in Poland and in France, I was practically always writing my scripts, sometimes in collaboration with somebody, but I generated the stories. Later on, when I entered the world of the American industry somehow, Hollywood industry, I started to receive the scripts, and in some periods a lot of scripts, and sometimes very interesting scripts, and very like communicating with my own thoughts or ideas. And in this case, it wasn't that I chose the story chose me somehow. And it happened also with my two Czech films, recent films. It means miniseries Burning Bush and my last film, Charlatan. It was sent to me by the writers, young writers, by the way. And I had the impression that I was chosen. And somehow I had the impression that I am chosen when American young journalist sent me the script of Mr. Jones.
Can you elaborate? What does it mean, chosen? Because I'm sure you get a lot of offers every day in your mail. How you know you were chosen to this project?
Well, I feel it, you know, it starts to grow in me, and it's like a dialogue. It comes in the moment when I ask myself similar questions, and suddenly I see that it has like talented representation, and that I can form it in my way, that I can appropriate it, because it makes sense to me to realize somebody's scripts only when after a few weeks I believe that I wrote it. I stole it, you know, the directors are the thieves, and you have to believe that it's something which is in you, and it's true, it's growing slowly in me. I remember I did my third Holocaust movie, In Darkness. That was the script sent to me by a Canadian screenwriter. And I liked the script, but I didn't want to spend another 2 or 3 years of my life in, you know, in ghettos and in the time of such a tragic oppression. It's very costly psychologically to do movies like that. And also, like, it's supposed to be in English. I didn't want to shoot Holocaust movie in English. I feel it always a bit fake, you know. But he was insisted. This guy was insisted, and he was the most stubborn guy I ever met, I think. He was sending me new version of script every month, and it was waiting. It wasn't electronic scripts in this time. He sent me, you know, the paper documents, and I was in some hotel, I don't know, in India, and it was waiting. The new draft of In Darkness was waiting in the reception for me. So after a while, I started to dream about it. I started to have the story like grown in my head and, you know, enter my dream. And that is the moment when you understand that it is in your system. Even if you don't want to, you start to imagine this. You start to, you know, it comes to life. And to save myself, I told that I will not do it if it will be not in the original languages of the story. And I was sure that they will refuse, because all the, you know, production plan was based on some American star, but they agreed. So I didn't have the choice, I had to do it.
You are a role model for a lot of filmmakers around the world, especially female filmmakers. And I would like to ask you, do you think that now that there are more female directors that emerging, do you think the stories that the cinema tells and the way the cinema tells its story will change?
Absolutely, it will change, of course. You know, it's we are all human beings, and essential existential experiences are the same. We are born, we have the life, we laugh, we suffer, and eventually we die. So that is like universal. But of course, culturally, the cultured gender differs women from men, but also very physiological experience, experiencing the world, the own body, the motherhood, that is like essentially different. And because of the centuries of different experiences, women developed a different point of view on several things. So tell the story from female point of view, it's different, sometimes slightly different, sometimes very different from the male perspective. Same story told from the male perspective. And I was revolted when I realized that such an important thing like audiovisual narration made by Hollywood is represented only in 7% by the women. It means 93% of the stories are stories told by men. It means 43% of women are voiceless.
But they say also the women choose to which film their husband will go. So how come men are telling the stories?
That is quite new, you know. When I was very active in Hollywood in late 90s, the surveys have been that that the girl is going, you know, with his boyfriend, that the boyfriend is choosing. And slightly started to change, but only 3 years ago, the economy shown that the films with the female main character made more money than the movies with the male main character. And it shows the change of the audience, and it shows that the women became assertive. Because before, when choosing the movie, they were thinking, yeah, but he will be angry that, you know, he has to watch this romance. So maybe we'll do and then watch Rambo. Not anymore, you know. I think that women want to see the representation of their point of view, of their problems, of their vision of the world. They want also to communicate this different perspective to another women, but also to men. Because without this common understanding, we will become like too polarized and in some kind of the war. So I think and also, you know, I think that the situation, political situation and global situation changed, and the challenges and dangers are different today. The approach of women to, for example, ecological catastrophe or to pandemics is much more appropriate and is much more relevant. And we see suddenly that the country led by women create the possibility to communicate in much more efficient way, and that the solidarity and understanding of the sacrifices is much better working in those countries, because they are less about the power, they are less
ego.
Yes, exactly. Less about the ego, more about the project, that our common project, our baby, is the most important thing. And I can eventually, you know, to resign from my agenda or from my fame, if it can be better for the project.
You mentioned this pandemic, and this corona pandemic undermined cinema in favor of television and streaming platform. As a filmmaker who made also great TV series and also directed the episode at The Wire and The House of Cards and made some of yours, do you think television will replace cinema?
No, it means streaming platforms or VOD is not exactly television. television, it's only because we watch it not on the big screen in the movie theater, but on different devices or in the screen in your home, if you are rich enough to have the own projection in your home. So the real difference is the perception and the sensual experience. I believe, but I'm not sure, of course, that the desire to be together and to have this experience, to focus in the dark on the communication with with the movie and share this emotions with another people will be needed. I was watching a lot of films, and some of them I watched before during the pandemic when I went on the lockdown in my French country house. And the films I've seen on the big screen and was watching again on the pretty good television, it wasn't the same. It was the difference between the experience and the information. And that is good. That is good for the plot-driven stories. Mm. But if you want to have a filmmaking sensual experience, it doesn't work in this way. It's like you can
image is better in the cinema, the image.
It's not the question of the image, it's all together. It's also the question of focusing, because we are living now in the situation when it's practically impossible to focus. We have so many devices. The emails are popping, Facebook is popping, Instagram is popping, some news coming from, different medias is popping. You watch the movie, but you are tempted to change to some another source for a little while. It's completely different. It's completely different. It's not the same. It's like, it's a bit like hearing to the classical music in the elevator. It's not the same. But what I think really, it means, of course, it can happen that this form will disappear. But it was told when cinema came that the theater will disappear, and it didn't. It was told when this television came that the cinema disappeared. It didn't. But the economy of the cinema are very complicated now. And I think in order to survive, the films have to be much better. What we are suffering from is some mediocrity of the majority of the production. It's not bad, it's not great, but it's exchangeable. You can watch this film or another film, doesn't matter. And year after year, I have impression that it's like with this very bad French wine, Beaujolais Nouveau. It's like, oh, Beaujolais Nouveau est arrivé. And you drink this shit and it's exactly the same shit like a year ago. So it's a bit like that with the independent cinema.
So the cinema has to invent itself.
Yes, be courageous, leave the comfort zones. And touch the subjects and create the images which we never seen before.
This is also your advice for young filmmakers who are watching you and ask, what should I do? You tell them to be courageous.
Absolutely.
And take risk.
Absolutely. Fearless, courageous, inventive, letting to work the imagination, not believing, in the opinions which are on the market, not believing in the, in the critics and festival selectors. Most or practically every main selectors of the biggest film festivals are men. And when you ask them why you don't select more films made by the women, the answer is, oh, we don't have enough of good films made by women, which is a bullshit. Well, we can see it in Scandinavia, Swedish Film Institute, and after Norwegian Film Institute and after other institutes joined, they decided a few years ago that to age 2020, 50% of grants will be given to women filmmakers.
It should be in festivals, in big festivals, Berlin, Cannes, Venice.
You need to make the pressure, but in the first place, you need to produce more movies.
Okay.
Because if you have 7% movies made by women, which is the case of United States, of course that you will have less movies in Oscar competition, in the festivals and so on. If you have 18% like in Europe, you are also handicapped by that. But if you have 50%, suddenly you see that is as many good female films as male films. And for example, Scandinavia, this is interesting. They started it only a year or two ago. And this year, in the European Film Academy selection, most films coming from Scandinavia have been made, the films made by women. At Oscars, Finland presented the female film, Sweden presented female film, Norway presented female film, and the Norwegian film had been shortlisted together with my film. And only one, Denmark, had Thomas Wittenberg and his very boyish film about, you know, the drinking group of men. Give to the women the space, the tools, and they will come with the stories which are fascinating, and they are unknown and untold so far.
You work in a different industry. You talked about the difference between United States of 7% female directed and in Europe. Can you tell me a bit of how is it possible, this difference between the industry, the Europe industry and the American industry? And was it easy for you to get in as a foreign to a different country, but still dealing with social issues and understanding their society? How to do it if I want to go now?
I don't know. I just did it. It means, you know, probably being pretentious and fearless. I thought that I have something important to do, and I was well received because my movie in States, my movie Europa have been very successful. And when Americans are close and open, you know, when they see some fresh blood coming, you know, from the world, they want to suck it. They want to have it. And I made some good decisions, some very wrong decisions. I lost some chances. I misfired a few times, but in the same time, I knew on one thing, that the thing which is the most important to me is my artistic freedom. And when I see that it's compromised, I will just not be doing it. I will be leaving this. And this is why I decided never do big studio movie, because I understood more money they give you, less freedom you have.
Where do you see more? Where do you see more artistic freedom?
It's not consistent. Television, you know, American television, which was the best television, also sucking some, you know, some subjects and values from the smaller, you know, markets, like from Israel. Some most successful shows on American televisions have been generated by Israeli, you know, shows. But you have the period when the television opens up and is very, you know, very innovative and very like courageous. And it was late 90s and first 10 years of 21st century. But now it became what it's supposed to be. It means the corporation. And it's much more difficult to do something which is free and unconventional. And they want, after putting so much of new seeds into the, you know, fertile ground, they want now to have the harvest. They don't want, you know, to take the risks again. Cinema doesn't have another solution. If the cinema will not take the risk, it will die.
So you're very optimistic, I think.
No,
and you have a good advice also.
I want to do something as long as it depends on me. And when I will say, oh no, it's impossible, I'm sure that nothing will gonna happen. So it's a bit like Sisyphus myth, you know. You know that this stone will push you back down the hill, but you know, you are pushing it up.
If you wouldn't become a filmmaker, what profession would you choose? You can still choose. It's never too late.
I think I will be a doctor, medical doctor. In my free time, writing the novels like Anton Chekhov.
All through this interview, there were questions regarding human nature you were asking in your film.
If you ask me what is the message, you know, it's that that the world is complicated and human beings are complex and ambiguous, and that simplification is the lie. It means anytime we are choosing some simple answers, we are probably not telling truth.
So we need to look at the complexity and also the bad sides of us, but not be afraid of the darkness.
It's very unpopular right now, you know, because we are living in very polarized world and very polarized societies. When the people are so divided that they think that only the good is me, another are bad and enemy. Look at United States of America after Trump. Look at Poland now, and several countries, Israel also. They are divided, and they are fight. Everybody thinks that his identity is only one which has the value, and that is, you know, that is not true.
We are privileged to screen at the festivals two of your films, the acclaimed provincial actors, and your latest film, Charlatan.
It's probably 40 years between those two films, you know, and you don't feel those years, right? So look at that as a letter with love and some bitterness I'm sending to you.
You might want to read from the chat. There was one question. Maybe I would read it. Thanks for the amazing talk. And I asked if there is one film that you made that you love more than the others. That was the question.
It's like to ask parents who have, I don't know, 20 children, which child you love the more. Oh, it means it's difficult to say, you know. I have some favorites in terms that I think that I achieve more in this film, and mostly they are like small films than in others, that it's closer to my idea how it has to look like. And of course, always the last film is the closest to the heart, because it's like exactly a little child who doesn't know how to walk yet. So we have to protect it. I believe the time of women is coming, really. I think that if somebody will save this world, it will be women.
Mostly I'm reacting to stories in a pretty instinctive way. I think in general a question about identity. Who we are as a people, as a human being, as a gender, as a race, as religion.
Nikdy nechtějí dělat zázraky, chlapče, to lidi neodpouští.
How weak the humanity is and how ready to do the worst in order to follow some kind of the illusion.